Electric vehicles are billed as the way of the future, in part because of the push for a more Earth-friendly driving option.
But a new Consumer Reports study suggests there still may be some ways to go before we're fully there. According to the findings, EVs, as they're known, have nearly 80% more problems than gasoline-powered cars. Additionally, a second report finds that almost half of the cars that were tested fell short of their EPA estimated driving ranges.
Joining us now, CBS News MoneyWatch Associate Managing Editor Aimee Picchi. Aimee, we were very interested in this reporting. Tell us, what did Consumer Reports find? Because problems is sort of a big word to put on a vehicle, and I'm curious what exactly that meant.
Yeah, so what they did, first of all, Consumer Reports is a very respected name in car ratings, and they asked their members, send us your reports on your vehicles. What problems are you encountering? Not just EVs, but gas-powered vehicles too. They got more than 330,000 reports from their members. And what they're showing is that, EVs have more of these problems, and this is in a category, 20 categories, and it's everything from squeaky brakes to transmission problems. So it can be, kind of serious things to maybe not so serious things, but they wanted to just gauge what's happening here. And I'll just point out, though, that there is some nuance here. If you look at hybrids, like the Prius, which has been around a lot longer, they have actually 26% fewer problems than gas vehicles. And on the other hand, plug-in electric vehicles actually have more problems. And what they're saying is, EVs and plug-in electric vehicles are newer. They're having some growing pains, and they just have to, manufacturers just are working these out right now. So, if you're going to buy an EV, maybe keep that in mind, I think is what they're saying.
Yeah, so growing pains, it's interesting. How common is it for electric vehicles, Aimee, to actually meet their estimated driving range? Because certainly that's something we've heard about.
Yeah, well, this is another really interesting study from Consumer Reports. And what they did was actually bought, I think, about 22 electric vehicles and took them out on the road and drove them until the battery went flat. And they just wanted to see how long was this going to take. And they used the best conditions possible. So I'm just going to point that out. They drove in temperatures, I think, between 60 to 70 degrees, not in cold weather that affects your battery. And they found that about half of them didn't meet the driving ranges. And these are the ranges that when you buy a car, this on the sticker in the window, you probably have seen that, this is, what you can get for this car in terms of how far they'll drive. And the problem with this is that, running your battery flat while you're driving an EV can be really complicated. If you have a gas car and you see, oh, I'm running low on gas, chances are there's going to be a gas station nearby. You can get there. But chargers are still sometimes hard to find. If you run flat on the highway, it's also a little more complicated. Like a tow truck, if you have a gas car, can bring you gas and you can fill up, on the side of the road. That tow truck's probably not going to have a charger to charge you up. So that's something else to be aware of, is that, sometimes these cars don't go as far as they say they're going to go.
So that's really interesting, because I know that where we are here in the Northeast, there are lots of different charging options. But what impact then is range uncertainty having on electric vehicle owners, especially as we're looking at places across the country that perhaps don't have as many options?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was a really interesting aspect of EV ownership. It's something called, there are two things, range anxiety and charging anxiety. And range anxiety is where you're anxious, like, am I going to drive, is the car going to drive as far as I think it should drive? And then secondly, charging anxiety, which is, if I need to charge up, am I going to find a charger nearby? If I get to the charger, isn't going to be working? If I get there, will there be a line of people already waiting to charge? And will have enough power to charge up my car? So those are other issues that drivers have to think about. Of course, like as you mentioned, depends where you live. You can live in a city with a lot of chargers. If you're nearby home, you're driving in your local city, you can get to your house quickly and charge up there. That's great. But, these are more issues if you're doing like longer trips, if you're going on the highway, if you're going somewhere you don't really know that well.
Right. All factors to consider. Aimee Picchi. Aimee, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
With 2024 just around the corner, it's never too early to look ahead to tax season.
Oh, say it isn't so. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger has some tips that could